in industry, do you measure both attitudinal loyalty and behavioral loyalty? Anyway, it is measured. There is no doubt about that. But how often attitudinal loyalty is every
It's called a ANU study, attitude and usage study. You have to do it almost every year. You need to see something called a baseline, and then you start seeing whether are you progressing on the attributes of a brand.
Okay.
And if it's not progressing, then whatever the cues that you're doing is not improving.
Okay.
So in other industries, not as much as consumer industry. Consumer industry, it's a must.
Yeah.
Without an ANU study, you don't survive. You don't manage a brand.
So in the digital era, it's called the brand lift.
In customer mindset, we have got multiple dimensions: brand awareness, brand association, then we have perceived quality and brand loyalty. And sometimes people also include brand attachment also. These are dimensions of brand equity to be assessed. Now, I'm just trying to understand to what extent it is getting captured from customers, not from market.
Sorry to interject. So financial services, right? I've worked largely in financial services. A lot of all this comes in something we call NPS, Net Promoter Score.
Yes, summary of, but it does not give the direction in which, where I'm faulty. Problem with NPS is, will not be able to tell you this is a problem. In this assessment, in brand equity assessment, I can figure out where the problem is.
See, the brand equity study is largely a consumer. See, in consumer brands, brand equity is the essence, right?
Yeah.
So I've been in a different industry, in medical devices and pharma. Each industry, if you look at the spectrum, in consumer industry, the bread and butter is brand equity, right? You look at Haldiram. What is the brand value today? $10 billion the private equity is paid for some minor share value, right? Now, whereas if I look at stent, I was head of the stent, first drug-coated stent was launched in India. In J&J, I was there. And our stent, the brand was great, but as soon as the other brands started coming in, it's all about technology. The brand gives you, in that kind of a market, is very different from what you do in consumer industry. Now, at the same experience of my consumer background, I took it to sutures or in orthopedic implants, and where this brand, the way in which they perceive the brand by way of service. On a surgery time, if you go with your full implants, with your service set, whichever the company delivers, that is my brand that I love, right? So the components of brand equity is very different from a consumer brand to, so for example, when you are asking for all these attributes, right? That is almost done as a classic textbook is in consumer business. Whether it's a Nokia, what he was talking about, whether it's Coke, whether Pepsi, Haldiram, you have to do it because you sell only brand, right? Rest is all kurumuras you are selling, right? Kurumura mein 10 rupees ka बेचते हैं, उसमें 1 रुपए का है, but the rest is all the brand that you added. In other industries, it varies by way of functionalities, other technology that you are doing, financial services, what you do. So you need to know correlation of coefficient. If you look at which attribute is the biggest factor, that will define your brand value.
L&T is into different business, totally. So L&T in itself is a brand. So see, ma'am can share. Would you like to share a few things? L&T in itself.
L&T name itself will attract a lot of people, right? I mean, you are in real estate, you're in defense, you're in building statues like big statues like the Sardar Patel statue, which is there, the metros.
So willingness to pay premium to L&T is also there.
No, that's exactly what I was going to come to. See, L&T is making a premium property, say in Seawoods. Okay. At the same time, in the entire area of Navi Mumbai, as of today, there are few people who have really created their brand already. Okay, like one of them builders is Progressives. Very rarely, I mean, there will be, of course, there are people who are L&T is there, Godrej is there in Navi Mumbai, Godrej City is there in Navi Mumbai, there is Lodha, there is Hiranandani, all are coming. But everybody will go and pick their houses obviously over there. But if you look at from a convenience, from a trust and everybody, there will be people who will directly go and look for Progressives. because they've been there much before an L&T came there or a Hiranandani came there. They'd still go and pick up a, progressive. And progressives are not like any of them who are going to do massive brand building, massive idhar lagaya board logo udhar. No, but their loyal customers who have been buying houses across all the progressive houses, they'll give a call to the owner of. Why? Because he's accessible. The owner of progressive is accessible. They will call him and say, "आप कुछ बना रहे हो, please बनाइए ना. हम लोग पैसा लगाने को तैयार है." Giving you an example, just one more example of what Sir said. The classic example he mentioned about the stent part of it. All our mothers and parents maybe have at one point in time gone through knee replacement surgery. How many times would you have asked the doctor कौन सा brand का knee डाल रहे हैं? Never. My doctor, I mean, whom I trusted like anything, he told me, Archana, iska 90,000, iska 40,000 ka. He told me.
But
I told
trust the doctor. Doctor is the brand.
I think there is just one.
Doctor is the brand.
And as industries are now evolving so much, the perspective, I think from my personal, and while I see a lot of industries, is should start to build the narrative from an industry perspective and curate what metric would be more relevant to a particular industry. And then it's also not just a broad-based one, because every category has a different aspect to it, and kind of build back, right? So I think some of the aspects that we spoke about, so fundamentally two buckets. One is the customer experience and then the customer value, right? And then this is must have. And in addition to that, what is good to have is then, do you get attracted to a certain theme? Do you have an affinity with a certain, I mean, now in the social media world, there are so many affinities that you're getting created, right? So that drives a brand value, right? So I think those are good to have. And then that kind of funnels.
It was the freebies.
Yeah, I'm getting multiple times indication and multiple final. Yeah.
Right over email now.
So it was the last 2 or 3 decades. Which normally have got evolved with the organizations, the products, trial and error. But the pace at which new companies are coming, private equity led, VC led, they're jostling for space, right? It's all, a lot of capital is available. And for a lot of these founders also, right, when we go and interact, it's about, the product and the brand, right? At what point in time do we invest more in the brand? First, we put the product in place, do the POC in place, do it a test market in some pockets, and then start investing in the brand, or should work in tandem, right? So, and a lot of them AR bootstrapped at times because of the VC money coming in, right? There, your thought process to spend more, expand more, put the brand more. So, from an academia perspective, I think somewhere that thought process also should come through, because things have changed so rapidly, right? And so I was talking to somebody who's putting up QSR, which is in a very different way. So for me, I thought it was the same. But then he was trying to tell me, no, this is the way we do A, B, C, D, E. So, and this is how we're branding it. But then the amount of spend they're doing for the size and scale means an ability or inability to continue in future, right? So that gets questioned. So at what point in time do you actually go and invest in brand versus...
So this will be last.
There was a discussion lately in my podcast we were listening that most of the Gen Zs and millennials are using Chat GPT as their therapists. Okay? Today, we use your GPTs almost on a day in day out. And ideas. Like, for example, if I have to go out on an evening, I actually ask, okay, I like Mexican food. What do I do in Colaba? It gives me 10 options, and specifically an option, say, okay, go to this restaurant because there's a special thing happening, whatever. To your point on the kneecap, like, for example, 10 years back, if you're in a situation in a hospital and a doctor says, A versus B, you just had to listen to the doctor and trust the doctor. Today, you can go on a GPT and say, no, you are the expert doctor. If you're an expert doctor, this is a kneecap, tell me what you would recommend. Right? So the entire purchase decision is going to drastically change in the coming days, not even years, days. 83% of the brand awareness today is through social and through content. With these two put together, how are you building a brand is a question that, academics should bring here before.